All right, guys, so I want to share with you why I moved to Thailand at 19 years old. This was about 2 years ago now, and why you might consider doing it as well. Let's get right into it. So, the major driver behind my decision to ultimately move from the United States to Thailand was to avoid what's called the comfort zone trap. So, I had a mentor of mine who I was working for at the time, and he had suggested previously that to get to the next level of self-development and you're going to the gym, you're making more money. To get to really that next level, Thailand is an amazing place for that, because for young guys, it gives them a lot of freedom to test themselves and to see if they can actually live on their own, if they can stay disciplined, and also test them. It tests if they are willing to make a major change in their life and do everything that's required to make that change. It tests your resolve and your ability to make things happen, your agency. Because staying comfortable and staying in the same place is one of the fastest ways to stall your progress. This is why I'm not a believer of monk mode. I think that if you're constantly staying inside your room, you're missing out on these opportunities. You're missing out on putting yourself out there. And whenever you move to a different location, you're forced to take massive action to set up that new life. This might mean figuring out how to make money online. This might mean figuring out how to network and meet people in a brand new city where you don't know anybody. And especially if your life relied around doing the same thing day after day, if it wasn't working, then whenever you move to a different location, you'll realize just how slow your strategies were. For example, in your old city, if you would only meet people in school and all your friends are just former classmates from high school a few years ago, then your strategy will quickly expose itself as not sustainable, because whenever you go to Bangkok, you can't do that same thing. And whenever you go to a new location, this discomfort of trying something new will force you to grow, because growth only comes from discomfort. When was the last time that you went to the gym, you hit a medium workout, your muscles weren't sore, and you got stronger? That doesn't happen. The growth only comes from pushing yourself past what you can currently do. And for myself, I had a few marketing clients that I was working with online, and I thought to myself, there's no better time for me to go than now. Never in my life will I have this opportunity again, because maybe in the future I will get an in-person job, I will be stuck in one place, and I wouldn't be able to make that change. So if I want to see if this lifestyle suits me, if I should move there and stay in Thailand, then I should go soon. That was my mentality. And so as soon as I was working with clients for a few months, I booked my flight, a one-way trip, and I came out here to Thailand. Now at this time, I had just finished my master's degree. I got my bachelor's in information technology, and I wanted to do my master's online as well. So whenever I moved to Thailand, I continued my education online through an online university. And as of now, I have 4 accredited college degrees, 2 bachelor's degrees, and then 2 master's degrees. Now the thing is, whenever I came out to Thailand, I struggled to maintain my business. I had a lot of early success where my clients came from my initial network, people that I knew. And the strategies that I was using with them, they were able to get views, but the ROI that they received, it was hard to tell. Yes, they might get views, might lead to exposure down the road, but it wasn't clear how they would make more money today using the services and in the way that I offered them at the time. So the clients that I had quickly churned, and this just so happened to be around the time when I came to Thailand. So for a few months, I was struggling. I didn't have clients. I still had savings, of course, that I was living off of, but I wasn't making any new money from my clients. And this was a bit of a difficult patch. I still found myself spending my time. I was studying. I was using my time effectively, but I didn't have anywhere to direct my energy until I was invited to one entrepreneurial dinner. And I knew that at this dinner, people would ask, "What do you do?" And I didn't have any clear thing. So I decided to pick one of these small projects that I was working on at the time, which was basically software for LinkedIn that would do messaging. And so when I was at this dinner, I would ask people what they do. They would tell me about their business. We would talk about that. And whenever they would ask me what I did, I would tell them confidently, I do LinkedIn marketing. And that was my thing. So eventually, over the next few months, I began to grow my LinkedIn profile using the software that I'd built, and I began selling this. By the end of the year, we had a pretty big user base. And then coming into 2025, a friend of mine who I'd met here in Bangkok, who had helped me with a few pieces of the software, was looking to hire somebody for his business. So I ended up reaching out to him about the role, landed the job, and then I've been working there for about 9 months now. And so why Thailand? You see people on YouTube talk about Thailand, Bali. They talk about this digital nomad lifestyle. Why is that so appealing? Well, the first reason is simply economics. If you're out here and you make $3,000 per month, it spins the same as if you were to make $10,000 per month back home in the States. And if you have an income of even $5,000 to $10,000 per month, you can spend a good amount of money on your lifestyle and still put money away to invest in the stock market, to invest in crypto, or to just save for a rainy day. Now, here's where Thailand shines compared to Bali, the infrastructure. So especially in Bangkok, the infrastructure is far more developed than it is in Indonesia. I've heard so many stories about people who get sick or have some sort of like disease in Bali, and they go to the doctor, and no shame to them, but they're not as educated, they're not as prepared as they are in Bangkok. Because if you know about this city, you'll know that Bangkok has some of the best hospitals in all of Southeast Asia. There's an incredible level of care and service that they provide here. And this level of service applies even outside the hospitals, and it also applies to clinics. So if you want to get your blood tested, it costs about $60. Like I had my blood tested to get my testosterone levels checked a few weeks ago, about a month ago maybe. And it was that amount. It was lightning quick. There were no problems, and I got the results the next day. I've heard only good things about friends of mine who have gone to the hospital here in Bangkok, Thailand. Now, the next reason why I love this city is that it's warm all year round. Right now it's December, and I have the door opened so that I can let the nice, warm air come into my condo. It's beautiful. Like, one of the saddest points of the past year was when I had to go back to the United States to get my visa sorted out, and for 3 weeks, it was cold, there was snow everywhere, nobody was outside, nobody wanted to talk to each other because everyone's staying inside. It was such a depressing period, and the entire time I missed coming back here to Thailand. The next point is that you'll also pay less taxes as a foreigner. And this even applies to Americans because there's a section of the IRS code called the foreign income exclusion, which means that the first $10,000 or $11,000 you make per month is not taxed. You have to pay a self-employment tax, which is 12.5%, but you pay no income tax on that. Yes, for my American friends watching this, you will be taxed globally, but if you're outside the United States for 330 days, that's the rule, then you're not taxed on the first 130,000, I believe, dollars you make per month. Now, this changes every year, so check the IRS website, check with your accountant what the actual amount is, but I believe this is what it was for the last fiscal year. The next point, there's a huge digital nomad and expat scene. So if you come out here as a foreigner, don't think that everyone's going to be speaking a foreign language. You're going to feel like a dot in the middle of an ocean. You will find your people. Now, I would suggest you learn a bit of Thai. You chop it up with some Thai people at the restaurant. When you go to the butcher, learn a bit of Thai, make some Thai friends. But if you want to speak English with people, there are plenty of native English speakers that you'll have no problem becoming friends with. And there's also this meme, which is that foreigners, when they're in their home countries, are very hostile and standoffish. But whenever they come to Thailand, they're very friendly. And it's something with the culture, it has to do with the weather. But people are very open here. You'll notice that about foreigners that come to this country. They're sort of a self-containing culture where a lot of people who come here, they've trained Muay Thai. They know how to fight. So nobody wants to get into an altercation because they know that everyone has hands. And if somebody has an ego and wants to start shit, they're going to get checked. So the foreigners in Thailand police themselves. Living in Thailand for 2 years, I've never been in a situation where I've had to fight. And I've only had one time where I was with a group of friends and some drunk guy was testing us and trying to get into a fight. And even then, his friends were trying to hold him back and being very apologetic. And lastly, this is something that not many people talk about when they discuss traveling to Southeast Asia, but Thailand has strong ties with the Western world. And this is something that I think can give you a bit of peace of mind, knowing that, okay, Thailand and the West, like the UK, the United States, there are ties there. There is like, our US soldiers do train in Thailand, and there's some cool photos of that. Like, they'll drink cobra blood. There are some diplomatic ties between these two countries. So it makes me feel a bit safer knowing that if there's a problem, which I wouldn't want to get into, but if that were the case, I wouldn't be totally isolated. Now, this is not the same for like Vietnam. Vietnam is a socialist country. Maybe if you come from Eastern Europe, you'll feel a bit more safe there. But overall, I do feel a bit safer staying in Thailand. So you're thinking about coming to Thailand and you want to know what you will need to do to make the move. The first step is to buy a one-way ticket from your home country to Bangkok, Thailand. Most international flights are not going to go to the other islands. They're only going to go to the capital city. But for most of my time here in this country, I've stayed here in Bangkok. Bangkok is a great place if you want to stay here, but you can also catch a connecting flight to cities like Chiang Mai, to islands like Phuket and Koh Samui. Whenever you arrive, check the visa policies for your country. For Americans, they will stamp your passport and you will get 30 days in the country. Once you have stayed in the country for 30 days, you can pay a fee of 1,900 baht, which is about $50 or $60, to stay in the country for another 30 days. This is an important note. Previously, you could repeat this process an unlimited number of times. There were people who would stay here for years at a time, just doing the same process, coming into the country, getting 30 days, extending it. Now, in the past year, the Thailand immigration has cracked down on this, so you cannot do this process anymore. Otherwise, you'll end up getting deported, you'll get sent back to your country, and you might even get banned from Thailand. Yes, there are situations where that has happened, where people have been banned for up to a year or longer, sometimes even permanently, for breaking the rules. So I would recommend that you do this once if you absolutely have to, maybe 2 times. But once you're outside of Thailand for a week or 2, apply for what's called the DTV. This is the Destination Thailand Visa. You can apply directly through their website to get this visa, and what it is you'll pay about $400 in fees, and you get a 5-year visa, where each entry gives you 180 days. It's an absolute no-brainer. So in those 60 days, whenever you're visiting Thailand, if you decide that you want to call this place home, then getting the DTV is your best option. Now, during those 60 days, how do you find a place to live? What I'd recommend is booking an Airbnb or a hotel for the first 1 to 2 weeks that you arrive. During this time, go out, see what the city's like, see what the country is like. And if you decide that you want to stay, then extend your Airbnb while you go out and look for leases. You can look at websites like Property Hub and Fazwaz to see locations that you can rent. Now, the question you're likely thinking is, okay, when I come to Thailand, how am I going to make money to pay for all of this? And the immediate answer is that you need an online income. You cannot come to Thailand expecting to find a local job for really 2 main reasons. 1, your visa will not allow you to work. If you work on the tourist visa that you get when you arrive, you're breaking the law, you're going to get kicked out, you might even get banned from the country. And secondly, the income earning potential of Thailand is far below what it is in your home country. You might go from earning $4,000 to $5,000 in your home country to earning $500 to $700 per month if you're lucky here in Thailand. The average income is about 12,000 baht per month, which is, I think, 350 USD. It is not a lot. So make sure that you have that online income coming in. And a few common paths are software and tech work, online coaching and consulting, remote sales, and content creation. For myself personally, I chose that first option, software and tech work. I have a software product which I own that generates revenue for me, and I have a full-time remote job in software development. Now, what I'd recommend if you want to build an income in software and become a software entrepreneur is to first build something without the permission of someone else. So if you wanted to get a remote tech role, you need to go through the process of applying, interviewing, and land the job. But if you were to build your own software application, there are ways to do that even with minimal tech experience. Then you can build that, you can start selling it, and you don't need to ask anyone else for permission. You just need to give something that the market wants. That's how I ultimately got started. Now, there's 2 roads that you can take when you decide to move to Thailand. The first is having a 6-month prep. So this is building up your income, your business, saving up savings so that even if you don't make an income, you'll have something to live on. And then that way, whenever you arrive in Thailand, you can hit the ground running. The second option I like to call is the rapid launch plan. This is where you arrive before you have a consistent, sustainable online income. Maybe you have a bit of savings, but once you arrive, you use that pressure to force yourself to figure something out. Now, there's no right answer here. Whichever plan that you choose depends on your personality type. But if you are going to choose a 6-month prep plan before you move to Thailand, I would recommend having a clear deadline. You might even want to book the flight ahead of schedule. So that would be booking the flight 6 months out from now and setting that as a hard deadline. Because again, the changes that you make are going to be difficult. It's going to require work. And the human mind wants to choose the path of least resistance. So if you see the content that maybe I post or other people post online living here in Thailand, and you want to take that action to move here and see it for yourself, just understand that there is going to be a bit of hesitation, as there naturally is before you make any sort of decision. So just keep that in mind when you choose one of these paths to go out and make the move to Thailand. So that is it. Hope you guys found this video valuable. If you have any more questions and you want to go in depth, I do sell consultation calls where you can speak with me one-on-one, fully in private for an entire hour. I'll answer any questions that you have. You can see the link below this video if you want to book one of those. Go ahead and follow me on Instagram if you want to see what it's like actually living in Thailand day to day. You can see my stories. And if you want to see my last video where we had a paid event that a dozen entrepreneurs showed up to and what that whole day was like, then you can click this video right here on screen.